Hey there everybody, today we're going to be doing a very quick battery replacement on a Galaxy S22 5G, this guy right here. Where you can see the battery is so swollen that you can see me through the phone. So let's go ahead and get started on this guy. So because it's already so much apart, I don't think it's going to be too terribly difficult to get this back off of here. I'm going to start with a fresh card, something nice and thin, and some isopropyl. I will put the card in, just a little bit of isopropyl on there so we can start slicing through the rest of this adhesive. But like I said, not much going on here as far as adhesive still holding on to the phone. You want to work around the cameras so you don't get any adhesive gunk on the actual lenses or on the lens glass, preferably. Um, This adhesive is all still really good, so we'll be able to reuse this with just a little bit of adhesive promoter. Okay. So now that we have the back off and the alcohol cleaned off of our table, let's go ahead and grab a Phillips. We're just going to remove the screws from the metal plate here, and then fold this bad boy back, and then we'll be able to unplug the battery. Got a more camera-friendly way to do this. Just going to disconnect the wireless charger. Go ahead and grab a spudger so I can show y'all how to do this the right way. Just spudger that off. And let's get this plate folded back now that the wireless is disconnected. First thing we're going to do, as usual, once we have that disconnected, let's go ahead and disconnect the battery. Yoink. And then all of this stuff is being pushed up by the battery, so it's just screaming to get off of this board. So we're going to carefully remove these and they'll pop up off of there. Oof. Yeah, they really wanted to be not plugged in. This big old balloon. Alright, wireless. It's a power, actually. Now that we have all of this stuff, some alcohol under the battery, carefully. We don't want it too much. We don't want it to soak through and like do anything to the board. But this battery is pretty cooked out of here, so we don't need to even put a whole lot of pressure on it. Just to kind of pry it up a little bit. You'll feel it and hear it. Once you get up enough, just slide your tool in. I like to use these flat carbon fiber tools. They're really, really handy to take out batteries if you can find them. They're my preferred method. Alright, so now we're gonna dab up any of this residual alcohol that's in here. Sorry about that. Okay. Now we want to clean up all the adhesive that's left over in here. because we want this battery to sit as flush to the inside of the phone as possible to make a good connection for the adhesive on the back glass after we put everything back in. These rotating tools to remove adhesive are excellent, so if you can get your hands on one of these, it's the preferred method. Otherwise, you kind of just gotta work it with your finger, with a towel, or rather a microfiber and some alcohol. But you can see how quickly this here kind of takes care of the job. Easy peasy. Guess that one wanted to come out next. Alright, once we have a clean battery bay, I'm going to safely dispose of the battery. I believe these particular brand batteries come with pre-installed adhesive. Yes, so pre-installed adhesive. These are pretty good quality batteries. I like these a lot. I haven't had any problems with these. These are the PowerCell Pros. Jeez, do this with tweezers. Alright. So now that we've got the adhesive peeled off the battery, I'm going to also remove this piece of tape. Now, what we want to do here is line the battery off of the connector. So I'm putting the battery in and kind of centering it, but the up and down, we don't want to put it too close or too far because we don't want to like strain this one way or the other and have to pull it around. So we'll plug that in temporarily. The battery, maybe. There we are. Okay, so now once we've verified that it's not going to be strained in either of the directions while it's plugged in, we can just set it down and then kind of push on this to fold it into where it's going to permanently be, and then unplug the battery again. There we go. With your tool. Don't do it with your fingernail. And then press flat with your fingers, flat on the battery, firm pressure all over the adhesive because you want that to really sit on that phone, or on that frame rather. All right, and then that's in, so we'll just reconnect all of the connectors to the main board. I'm just gonna pick the phone up so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. See if you guys can see as well. Plug all these guys in. You'll be able to feel them go in. Power button plugged. Antenna plugged. So now I'm going to plug in the battery. And then plop the wireless charger back over and plug in the wireless charger. Now that everything's plugged back in, we'll go ahead and throw these screws back in the bracket. And then we'll clean up the frame just a tiny bit, but it's honestly really clean. Won't always be the case. Alcohol and a microfiber is my preferred method. And some elbow grease. Not literal grease, just elbow grease. Jeez, these are so like stretched out even from the battery being so swollen previously. It's kind of gnarly. Imagining that in your pocket and then your key punctures the battery. No bueno. That is not a good day for any party involved. Alright, so I'm just gonna, what I like to do is just dab some alcohol on my finger and then rub it on the adhesive just to get all the dust and stuff off of it. And you'll feel it kind of get a little slimy, and that's kind of when you know that it's done, because once it gets slimy, you know it's gonna turn back into adhesive. There we go. Once again, be careful around these camera lenses. You don't want to get fingerprints or goop on the lenses themselves. So now that that is good, I'm just going to kind of let this alcohol dry off of here naturally. The camera lens was already broken on this, but the customer is not worried about that, so neither am I. Okay. Clean frame just a tiny bit. Really just want to get any particles of dust or anything off of the frame so it sits very well. Okay, so I went and grabbed some 3M adhesion promoter. What I'm going to do with this, you can get this off of Amazon as well. It's a really great thing to have in your toolbox in general, especially if you're doing repairs on electronics with any type of like pressure adhesive on a regular basis. But I'm just going to do a thin layer of this over the adhesive, kind of run it along the adhesive, nothing crazy, just a little tiny bit to kind of get that that adhesive just a little more tacky than it is. Just the maximum amount of effectiveness. Oh. Alright, so that's good. I'm just gonna rub off any remainder. This stuff evaporates pretty quick. I think it's like alcohol based or something. I'm not really sure what's in there. Here, you guys can look that up. Not really. JK. But you can feel the tackiness of it as it... Anyway. So now, I always go from the camera side, top first, and I just put my fingers on the frame to kind of line it in there, and then down. Press it all around. I'm going to throw some clamps on here, just like clamp, 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 clamp. Leave it in there for about 15 minutes, and this guy is golden. Okay, so let's just go ahead and put these clamps on right now anyway. You'll definitely need to clamp this down in some way, or you can use a book or something, but it needs to have a fair amount of pressure for this. We want this adhesive to really take And it starts to lift off of there just a tiny bit, and then riding in somebody's pocket, it's going to pick up a bunch of dust. And it's just going to separate itself. Alright, also, before we cover the power button, we do want to make sure that it turns on now that it has a new battery. Yes. Alright. Good. It works. So let's finish up these clamps. And then this guy is a done dealio. Done dealio. Try to be careful with this lens on this camera. Should be chill. Alright, we're looking good. Great. Alright, so that was our repair on our Galaxy S22 5G. Pretty simple repair, pretty quick. It's a pretty easy one for anybody to complete. Hopefully you guys all liked this video and you tune into the next one. Thanks guys. Like and subscribe please, it helps out a lot, and hopefully we can grow this channel together. Have a great rest of your day.